Yeah, yo, dope. Yo, do me a favor, just shoot us a DM and we can definitely have some time to talk, man. All right. So kind of as we're waiting for Trinidad James to hop in, we are on roll clothing. This is study breaks. I decided to come outside today just because it's a nice day. So pardon me in advance for any movement of the camera, but yeah, man, study breaks is an opportunity for us to get together, again, and just connect with people who, Sharmika, what's up? People who we've been able to develop relationships with over the years, as we've been developing honor roll. We've been able to have some great relationships. Over the last couple of weeks, man, we've had some real dope conversations. People like Fadi and Frank, just people within Atlanta who have been very pivotal in shaping the culture. And I'm proud to say that that myself, Chris, and Chef, that we've been able to participate in that journey. So being able to talk with guys like Trinidad, man, it's he actually just hopped in, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing started.
You,
Yo,
what's up, my G?
my God, man, how you living, man?
Man, rolling with it, bro. Rolling with the punches, doing Zooms and living life.
Bro, you live, man. I've been checking most of your dad talks out, man, and I'm man, especially yesterday. Yesterday's conversation with Maya, man, was fire.
Oh man, I mean, for me, it's kind of like, I know most of the people that I've talked to so far to a certain extent, but
Yeah,
I wanted to bring a certain emotion out of them, it's certain things I kind of wanted them to say, and when they give me more than I even wanted, it's a blessing.
that's a fact, man. I mean, it's the same thing for us, man. Like we had Fadia on 2 weeks ago, and bro, like the stories that she was telling, the backstories about Broken Bougie,
Right.
and how she was able to just kind of get things going. Her working with Scooter and like almost managing what's the Justin Bieber. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like you just
You wouldn't
wouldn't get
know.
those, you wouldn't know. And it's people like that, yourself, people like Maya, who have played like really important roles in Atlanta being what it is right now. And for me, I kind of look at Steady Breaks as being like a B-side conversation. Like less talking about like the things that people, are more aware of, and actually talking about the backstories and how do we actually get to that particular place.
Right, right,
You
right,
know what
right.
I mean? So I definitely look forward, man, to diving in that with you today, bro.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, I know you got some other joints going on later on, so we'll definitely make sure to make the most of our time.
I appreciate
Bro,
that.
first thing I want to say, man, I you have always had bars, but my G, like what you did on Black Owned, man, I'm impressed.
Thank you, man.
You know,
I
and
appreciate that.
I remember when you first came out, some of the slack that you were getting about your style and you expressing yourself and people trying to front on you as if like you couldn't rap. And bro, like just to see the progression that you've made over the years, man, like I just want to make sure that we give you your flowers because bro, like you doing your thing.
Thank you, man. You can't do nothing but work at your craft, man. You know what I'm saying? The biggest difference and the reason why the opinion is the way that it is that people get to see me from the beginning of my career. When people first seen me, that was me just starting, like
Yeah,
doing music. Period. It's not like I had a past. Every artist that people love, they had a past, and then we find them when they're hot.
yeah.
I didn't have a past in music.
You
When
dropped
you
that
found
joint and
me,
it went.
and I started hot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in the midst of that is to the consumer, it's like we want more hot shit. We want more hot shit. Boom, 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 or
Yeah.
whatever. But for an artist, you got to work on your craft in order to actually be good.
Yo,
You
so I
know?
want so let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what was Yeah, like what has that process been on you just develop sharpening your skills as I would say both as a MC, but then also as a businessman. You know, what I mean, you have the project, the song out Black Owned. Like, what has that journey been for you? Like,
It's been very interesting. You know what I'm saying? The ups and downs it's kind of been kind of organic, the way that I
yeah,
always wanted it. You know, when things popped off and became so successful in the beginning, off top, it threw off the way that I like to work. I
yeah,
like to work from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand and deal and talk to all the people that I'm coming up with. Meeting new people and learning who to do business with compared to starting up there with the sharks and the angels or
yeah,
whatever, you know what I'm saying? Is like if you never even been with the Sharks or the Angels, you won't have a concept of what to do when you're at the top.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's important to know is that's why it's important to be grounded. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So you can always know where to land and how to land. But at the same time, you never don't make excuses. You know, you gotta roll with the punches. And you know, a lot of people I think the thing I did best was not complain during my downs.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And not allow that to kill me or whatever. If I'm not dead, then that's another day to live.
yeah,
And I kind of just looked at it like that. You know, it started with me realizing that what was more important, fame or my craft.
yeah,
And that's why I stopped chasing, trying to chase another all go everything or whatever people thought should be next. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know what? Let me focus on learning every aspect of this game. So I'm gonna go on tour with Wiz, and we're gonna do the Under the Influence tour. And I'm gonna
hmm,
bomb and suck in my first shows, but I'm not gonna end this tour the way I'm not gonna end this tour the way it started. I'm gonna end on top or
yeah,
whatever and learn and conquer that. So everything that I went into and everything that I went into and everything that the consumer seeing me go through, that was me learning it for the first time. No experience.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you make clothes. You know, your
right.
first collection ain't got shit on your last collection.
Not even close. Not
You
even
see what I'm
close.
saying? It's the same concept. Literally, it's
And
the same concept.
and bro, like I mean, I just to kind of give people some backdrop, like even on me and your relationship. I mean, we knew each other before,
Amen.
you know, Honorable kind of started doing what it was doing, and before you know, became who you are. When
Amen.
we, yeah, when we were just printing up screen print T-shirts, and you was at Ginza. You know what I'm
Correct.
saying? You was the manager slash buyer slash whatever,
Yeah, the
whatever
whole
it was
thing.
that you needed over there.
Correct.
And you know, I want to I remember like coming into the store and you know showing you some product initially, and you're like, "Nah, like it's dope." You would come to the barbecues that we would have over the New Era at the New Era shop.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were always really supportive. What was it about for you being at Gins at that time that like laid a type of framework for what you started to experience in your music career, right? Because there were so many things that would take place at the underground, like using the mix of it all. Like, what was it? How did that experience like kind of leverage into what you've been doing now?
What's it called? My people skills.
Yeah,
That's what Genza really solidified for me. Like every job that I've had, kind of put me in a position to understand people from different stuff. So when I did, what is that job called? When I basically cut lawns for a living, but like on a grander scale for a company,
landscaping.
landscaping. When I did
Yeah.
landscaping as a teenager, with all older men that were way older than me, I learned, you know, how they think and how older people think.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? How, you know, how old men think. You know what I'm saying? I learned that aspect of stuff. Then when I worked at the stock room in J.C. Penney, I understood what the guy that's on the guy that's not on the floor per
Mm-hmm.
se, like how he thinks. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Then when I worked at Waffle House, that allowed me to get my people skills to a whole nother level because I was a waiter and a cook
Which
or
Waffle House did
whatever.
you work at?
I worked at the one on Cheshire Bridge, but my first one was Howell Mill. Howell Mill
Okay.
Waffle House is where I started.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, so that definitely prepared me for people skills because you got to have people skills. I worked night shift and morning shift. I worked all shifts,
You
but
seen
like
all kind of people come through.
seen all kinds, all kinds. You name it, I would have. And I learned to adapt and make, you know, regulars and customers who would tip me, I would have it really good because I just know how to talk. I know how to adapt and learn people and learn my surroundings. And then Ginza being that last stage before I jumped into the game, you know, I did that for 3 or so years,
Mm-hmm.
and that really gave me people skills on a cooler level. You know,
Okay.
Waffle House is not the ideal job from the standpoint of like you get paid $3.13. Well, at the time we were getting paid as a waiter, you get paid $3.13 an hour. You had to make your money off tips. So that, you know what I'm saying, that's like slave labor to a
Yeah.
certain extent, because there's some people if they're not good at hustling. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they would only make mediocre money, you know what I'm saying? And then some people are not good at tipping or whatever. So it's kind of like it puts you in a position where if you're not good at hustling and most people are not good at tipping, then you're not making no money at all. How are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool at all. You know, it was cool that I was kind of working with my friends at
Mm-hmm.
Waffle House, that aspect of it. But you know, then being a cook, that was dope because it gave you power. You know,
Yeah.
but just the hours, you know, working all night long, it just wasn't. That is
That's
not
not that's not what you want to build your
yeah,
life
that's
on.
not. I got a higher calling than that. I didn't know what that
Yeah.
calling was, but I just knew that it was something calling me that was more than that. I thought Ginza was that calling because I always wanted to work in a dope store
Yeah.
because I looked at my image of myself as somebody that was dope. So I
Bro, didn't
wanted
you
to be
have
in a dope
Paper
setting.
Frank's first mural in there?
Yeah, yeah. I paid him to do that in that store. It's
Yeah.
still in there. The store is closed down now, but it's still in there. Actually, they didn't tear it down yet. They didn't move it yet.
That's fire, man.
Yeah, his first two murals on, or his first two murals in there.
Yo, so like when you talk about I didn't know you had all those jobs, but I'm not surprised because I mean I've always known you to be an ambitious guy. I know yesterday when you were on the Dad Talk with Maya, you were talking about how your father he never worked for anyone, you
Correct.
know, and he also wasn't a man of many words. You know,
Correct.
it was like you gotta learn by watching me, right? What were the
Correct.
things that you saw your father do that helped to, yeah, that molded you into the man that you are right now, right? Like, what was the things that he was putting down that you was picking up that you still carrying with you right now?
Well, I mean, just his work ethic. That's the first. That's the number one. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Whereas, like, no matter how I feel or whatever's going on, you got to work. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? You got to work to survive. You got to work to make it to the next day. So work ethic was number one. I never heard my father complain. I never seen my father cry. You know what I'm saying? Through any situation. So you know what I'm saying? So I never even knew when things were bad because he never showed no emotion or whatever. So that emotion and learn how to control my emotions, because even when I do feel a type of way or whatever, like I know how to control it because I've seen somebody who I looked up to or somebody who means a lot to me, like my father, never cry, never show any emotion.
yeah,
You know, so it helped me get my emotions in control at an early age, you know, and then I would think that's the main things for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And then also uh being able to appeal to people. Like my father, he took care of his family, but he wasn't trying to like what's it called like
yep.
cater, like detail cater
Bro,
or whatever. But he would cater to his customers, his
okay.
clients and his customers and stuff like that. He would take care of them. So that always had to be a great host. Yo yo yo.
Oh, all right, there you go. Can you hear me?
All right, cool. So what is the last thing you heard saying?
I was saying, you were saying about your father always appealing to the customers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that taught me to be a great host
Okay.
because that's you know that's kind of what that transferred into. You know, the way that he always treated other people that wasn't his family was
Mm-hmm.
always top notch. You know, his clients, people that were paying spending money with him, he always treated them well. You know, and that I treat my fans well. I treat the people that that support me, my consumer. I treat them well when I can. I always give away stuff that most people don't give away. You know what I'm saying? When I do a show, you know what I'm saying? I leave it all there on the stage. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? For my true fans, you know?
that's what's up, man. What? So there's So there's the process of you going from Ginza, well, working all the jobs that you were working, to then going to Ginza. You're
Hmm.
there for a couple of years, and every time we say Ginza, like the hearts just start going up. Like people must really uh
Well, this
Yeah,
chat relates to Ginza. They know it. It's a
yeah,
staple. And
yeah.
you know
That's
what
a
I'm saying?
fact.
Like the
That's
age
a super
demographic, the
fact.
people that's looking at this, they know about it, you know, so it's like, oh, this is a thing.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But yeah, man. So you're there for a couple of years, and then you transition into music, and then even once you had All Gold Everything, like there was still a process of you constantly evolving, right? One of the things I think that I know for certain is about with Honor Roll, and I believe this to be true about you, is like we're not afraid to evolve, right? We're not
Right.
afraid to take a look, evaluate what's going on, and then make whatever pivots and changes
Right.
that are necessary. For you, like what was some of the, and I think even in saying that, right, like that there's this type of underdog experience that comes with that,
Hmm.
because you're going into a new environment that you aren't necessarily you didn't have the training for, right? What
Right.
has been like your underdog experience throughout your career?
Well, I mean, I just said this not too long ago to one of my homies that, sometimes the best thing to be as a person is underestimated.
Mm,
And that allows you to move the way that you want to move. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Learn the way you want to move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of things, but it was a lot of things coming into this game that I didn't know. And I wasn't, the way that the game is set up is that the way that you have to learn it, it kind of sometimes puts you in a weird place because of pride, because of people holding their nuts on you, people with weird energies, all those type of things. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different things that go into it in the game once you're really in it, and especially getting success from it. Success brings jealousy. Success brings intimidation,
yeah,
because it's always going to be somebody that doesn't understand why you're successful. There's going to be tons of people that like just appreciate your success, and
hmm,
then there's going to be definitely people that don't understand why you're successful. And even
yeah.
with the people that appreciate your success, if they don't understand why you're successful, they just appreciate the product. They don't appreciate you. So
Did you experience a lot of that, like from like just like the blogs and people from around the way, or was that something that you experienced from like your family and people close around you, or
I
was it
think
a
I
mixture of
experienced
both?
it just from. I think I experienced it from everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, music wasn't something that I grew up doing. So it wasn't nobody to push me. It
Yeah,
wasn't nobody motivating me. I did it all on me, and then I came and became who I became, and then it was just like, oh, damn, you know what I'm saying? I was way bigger
bro.
than your opinion.
Bro, I
You know what I'm
remember
saying?
like I remember the first time I saw you after the record had dropped was you were I was leaving a new era and you were coming, and it was like I could tell like there was a, oh, like there is a transition and a shift that was happening, and not that like you switched up or changed, but it was like, oh no, like this isn't a regular record. You know what I'm saying? Like this actually has the potential to be something amazing and take you to a completely different place. You know what I mean? So
Amen.
I can only imagine like the new waters that you ended up having to navigate.
No, for sure. It's you can't compare it to anything in the real world because the world that I'm in is not the real world. It's their world.
I just was having a conversation with someone about like right before I got online with you. Talk a little bit more about that, man.
It's two different worlds. It's the world that a lot of people live in, and then it's the world that those people that live in it look up to world. You know what I'm saying? It's like a comparison to a fantasy world. It's real people in this fantasy world, but they're not operating on the same time schedule. They're not operating on the same law code. They're not
Yeah,
operating on the same money budget. They're not operating on none of the things, the basic things that the person or that's on in the regular world is operating on. So that's why you see artists up at all times of the night, spending all types of money, doing this, doing that, doing that. You know what I'm saying? Making tabloids that people read. Is either you making tabloids or you reading tabloids. Is
yeah,
which person you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And in the aspect of that, um, some people fail at it, some people succeed at it, some people let it go to their head, some people tame it or whatever. And that was what was important for me, figuring out what do I want to do with it. Do I,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like what type of man do I want to be? But I was kind of comfortable with the man that I was before music. So it wasn't a problem for me to transition my formula into the game.
yeah. So because how old were you when you got in? Was it, well, you were like 24, 25?
Mm-hmm. 24.
So you had already had a bunch of life prior to that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And a good life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Obviously, I wasn't in the same success bracket or tax bracket, you know what I'm saying, but a good life, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mother was taken care of. I was fresh, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, um, but that wasn't enough. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That wasn't enough. Like, it's way more to life than just copping new kicks and taking care of your mother, or just taking, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
Yeah.
got to be way more to life than that, you know. And I, once again, that calling that I was getting when I was doing all those other jobs that I told you prior to Ginza, that calling that came to me again at the
Hmm.
top of 2012, or whatever. Like, hey man, you bigger than this. You bigger than this. You know what I'm saying? And then even that calling came again, even in the aspect of me turning up, doing my thing with all everything, and going through doing amazing tours and doing
Yeah.
shows with the biggest artists on earth, you name it, blah 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 blah, or whatever. It's kind of like it's bigger than just looking at what I got going on through music or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, I need to see the other aspects of the game, because if I don't give myself a chance to see the other aspects of the game, then I'm not really playing the game. I'm
Yeah.
playing their game.
Yeah. Like you were once like you talked about in the record Black Owned, like, yeah, I'm saying niggas tap dancing for and just doing this one thing. And it's like not like people say it all. You hear athletes say it all the time. Like I could chew and dribble at the same time. Like I just don't do this one thing.
Exactly. You know, you look at just yesterday or today or whenever, Kobe Bryant's wife, you know, she just inherited 200 million based off of the 5 million that Kobe invested 7 years ago into an energy drink company. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like if he just wanted to focus on just doing basketball, you know what I'm saying? He could do that because he is a master of his sport and his skill. And he did only focus on basketball, but he didn't allow that to limit him to the other things that he felt. He got that calling. When you get that calling, you can't deny that calling or whatever. You got to at least taste it, because you're cheating yourself if you don't.
That's what's up, man. What's motivating you now at this point? Like all like you've bro, like you got like what 5 or 6 albums in at this point?
I mean, yeah, what to call it? I'd say about five. Looking at how people really label music, like 5 EPs or
You
whatever,
got
because
5 projects, five
five
bodies of work,
projects.
5 bodies of work that's
Yeah,
been
like
out
five
there.
bodies of work, you know, and
You you got the joint on Complex full size count. You
full size
got
run.
full size run. You have Dad Talk. Like you're developing shows at this point.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're in this quarantine situation, so you know, once again, you hear call-ins, taste it, try it, listen to it, don't
Yeah,
deny it, because I trust my taste. At this point, my taste is what I use as the my radar for anything that I feel is my calling or whatever, because I'm only going to do it at a certain level. I'm only going to perform at a certain level. I'm only going to act, sing, rap, write for somebody, whatever, as a certain level, because my taste is what I use to guide me through.
yeah. So I got one. I got one more question I want to ask, and then like as we talked about, I'm gonna allow you to kind of send some questions back my way, and then we're gonna also ask, take some questions from people in the live chat. So
Cool.
right now, like if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the question box, and we'll definitely try to get to it by the end of our time today. But you've talked a lot about calling and responding to this calling.
Mhm.
I'm this wasn't a question I sent you before, but I'm curious, man. What do you attribute to that calling? Like, is that like an internal voice, or like do you attribute that to God, or how do you reconcile that?
It's everything. Is literally when the universe, God, and my spirit all talk at
Mm.
the same time, and our voice patterns are the same. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, we should do this because we're all in unison or whatever. It's like making music. The
yeah,
chorus is not right till everything is lined up correctly. You know.
I could dig that.
You
I
know,
could,
it's like yeah, it's art. You know what I'm saying? It's like the line is not the line is not straight. The line is not right until everything is in order or whatever when drawing and
yeah,
stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like and when the voice is kind of like you see something. You know what I'm saying? And then when you see it, you compare, you put it into your filter, and your
yeah,
filter is now my filter is attached to my taste that I tell you about that I guide myself with or whatever. So it's like according to what it is that I see or hear or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I look at like, well, why did this happen? Why
Hmm.
did I see this? Why do I feel so positive about this? Why do I feel that I can do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what have I been asking the universe? What do I want? You know what I'm saying? It's like, not, don't ask for something, then when you get a hint of it, you deny it. Or what's the sense of asking the universe for these affirmations, or asking the universe for something? You get these affirmations and you don't go to it, or whatever. You know, the next time you ask for it, it won't give you anything.
Right. Nah, bro, I feel you. I know, like, you know, I think people sometimes try to make like this separation between things that happen that are divine and of God's nature, things that are happening, like our own personal accountability and decisions, and like the things that we feel and experience with our emotions, and what you're talking about as far as taste is concerned, and then the things that are happening around us, which some people will attribute to the universe or what have you. And I think while people may use different language, I think it's so important. And I appreciate you touching on it, that like paying attention to all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to pay attention to like one, like how do you actually really feel? Like those things matter, you know, and in that, don't let that be the only thing that directs and guides you. Like what also is going around in the culture, like what is
Right.
going around in the climate that's around you right now. Don't be deaf to that. And then also
Right.
like there got to be like what is God doing that's orchestrating all this, right? And yeah, you're right. Um, Paying attention and being mindful of those things, man. Like I don't think that that's something that we could ever preach enough.
Yeah, you know, my observation determines my conversation.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't want to talk about things I don't really know about. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather talk strongly about the things that I'm sure about, and listen to the things that I don't know about. And if it's an entrance or an opening for me to suggest or say something, I'll suggest.
facts. Facts. All right, so I'm gonna put a pin right now in me asking you questions. I'm gonna allow you to kind of send something back my way.
Okay. Oh, well, my first question for you is that, when what allows you to know that it's worth um, continuing a clothing brand in this world of like, of everybody doing a brand. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
you've been doing a brand for as long as you have, what is that yearly motivation for you to continue doing the brand?
man. So for I would say for one, it started off with me just wanting to tell stories. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And like I saw how I've always known that people responded to people differently based off of how they dressed. Right. So I knew from jump that fashion and how you presented yourself to people, like it mattered.
Right.
Then you start getting into, the 90s and urban wear, and starting to see, uh, African Americans actually developing brands, like, and you saw like the earning potentials, like, oh, like this is super dope. And it was
Right.
reflecting, things that a type of style that was going on in our community, right? I think that in the mid 2000s, when you start getting like the hundreds, Crooks and Castles, like these, the early days of streetwear,
Right.
you started to hear a much more poignant conversation that was happening with between the brand and the people that were following them. And so for me, I just wanted to consistently tell the narrative of the people that I grew up with and our opinion and our perspective. Over the years, man, like, we've gone from like making screen print t-shirts to me then actually falling in love with the process of actually developing product from scratch.
Right.
So the idea of sourcing fabric and then even developing patterns and realizing, man, like if something is off like an eighth or a tenth of an inch, like like that's gonna change exactly how that garment feels. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like all the details matter. And so I spiritually, like, I started to see how, like, in the New Testament of the Bible, like, it talks about patterning your life after Christ. And
Okay.
so for me, like, I started to see like, oh, like as I pattern my life after the Lord, like there is a very specific fit and experience that I'm gonna have. And then like as I'm sitting over there making these patterns with clothes, I started to see a connection. I was like, oh, like this is not just making clothes for the sake of making clothes.
Got it.
Like there's something personal that's going on with this with me. And then on top of that, I think like in this whole quarantine state, I think that there's still so many stories that need to be told. And fashion is art. I don't think that people need just another T-shirt. or another pair of pants or another pair of socks. Like it has to be saying something. Like it has to mean something. And so for me and Shep and Chris, like we still have a lot of stories to tell.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nice. My next question is, what in is do you think that who is more influential when you look at it? Is high fashion more influential to streetwear, or is streetwear more influential to high fashion?
Um, I'm gonna go streetwear is always it's always gonna happen in the community.
Okay.
Like it always happens there first. I think even when I think about how we tend to adapt high end fashion, going back to like the Dapper Dan days, for example, like Dap was getting that product because those fashion houses weren't selling to us.
Correct.
Like they weren't making products that reflected our style and our taste.
Right.
And so niggas took it and freaked it and made it into something completely different. And then you fast forward and it always ends up happening. People will see what's going on in these neighborhoods and see how we're influencing the world. And then from there, they'll try to, take it and co-opt it into something else. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I mean, I think it always starts in the street. Always.
I
And so
respect
like
that.
you'll hear like guys like Virgil who'll say like, oh, like streetwear is dead, or like you'll hear, people in that space make provocative statements. And yeah, I just think I mean it's a matter of perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think that he would say that streetwear is dead?
I think that there's a reality that as people have learned to screen print t-shirts and create a brand, just like how people were able to get access to Pro Tools and now they're making music, there becomes things become very accessible, right?
Correct.
And then when you start talking about high fashion, there's a reason why a pair of Cartier frames cost what they've cost. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like there's a reason why a Louis bag costs what it costs. Like I mean, the level of detail and precision that goes into developing and producing that product. You know what I mean? Like it's like there's value that's there. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that for him going over to that side, I would imagine I don't know the guy, but I would imagine that he's like, yeah, like there's a gap that's here, and there's so much excess and a bunch of white noise that's going in what's considered the streetwear culture that yeah, like it's gonna eventually fade out. I don't think that that's the case because I think that the heat always ends up rising up to the top, and there's always this season of flows where, even like with music, like it seems like there was an artist that was coming out every single day, and over time, like yeah, like all the white noise ends up getting drowned out by the heat.
Got it. Got it.
I mean, what do you think about that? Would you
What
agree,
about as far as
disagree?
what?
I mean, do you think that
Streetwear is dead?
yeah,
No, it's just it's going to be dead to a person. It's going to be a dead to a person that's actually really been through it from the standpoint, like you said, a person who crossed over. It's one of those type of things where the streetwear is not dead. It's
mm,
just it's a lot of the wrong people carrying the torch,
mm,
because it's like it's two ways you got to look at it. It's a double-sided quarter or whatever. On one side where it's like you can't never knock a man for doing what he had to do to hustle
right,
and get to the
right,
top. Can't knock a man's hustle, but just because you hustled your way to the top, that don't mean you know fashion
yeah,
or whatever. Or you know what I'm saying? It's like you could do the way that the world is set up now. You could do good business to get to the top without knowing about what the hell is below you.
right,
You know what
right,
I'm saying? Because of just the internet, social media. You know what I'm saying? It's way more people with 1 million followers than people with $1 million. Or
yeah,
whatever, you know what I'm saying? And it's way easier to get 1 million followers than it is to get $1 million. Or whatever, the way that the world is set up now. So with that being said, it's very important for us as per se gatekeepers to keep morals alive and keep the standard at a certain level. You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be people that shoot past us, younger, faster,
mm,
better looking, better dressing,
yeah,
per se. You know what I'm saying? Because image is in the eye of the beholder.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You can't really tell somebody that they can't dress if they feel good in that outfit.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah,
can't really say that, because it's people that told me all through my life everything that I wore wasn't good. wasn't
Yeah.
this, wasn't that, or that's gay, or this that, had an opinion that was negative about everything I did, but it was my complete image that got me the success that I have. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, and I didn't listen to anybody, even though
Yeah.
I heard everybody, you know. So
And
to
man,
answer your question, um, it plays both sides. Where it's like I hear Virgil side, and I also hear the people that's still in streetwear doing their thing or trying to do their thing, their side too,
yeah.
because it's two different visions of the same mountain.
Right. Right. Now, I can get jiggy with that. I think, for me, I try my best to be mindful of language because I know how much saying things matter. And so, me saying if I was in a position like Virgil and saying like, oh, like streetwear is dead, like that has an impact. Like that has the ability to impact things. And I think that, like you said, like it just depends on where you stand on in that mountain, like what side of the coin you on. It may be dead to a particular person because of where they're sitting at right now. That just might not be what they on anymore, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's no harm, no foul in that.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of the people that he started off with when it came to streetwear and that he was inspired by, they have moved on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like Nigo is not with Bape no more. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Crooks and
yeah.
Castles don't exist no more. Supreme sold they invested big. They're not the
People
same
are
Supreme.
evolving.
You know what I'm saying? They evolved. He evolved. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So it's like when those guys were like the first gatekeepers, and they don't have any faith in the new gatekeepers, and that's where that's where it comes with the gatekeepers, the new gatekeepers, to live up to Big Bro standard or
yeah,
whatever, because all these people are like big bros or they're
yeah,
James Jebbia or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Eddie from Undefeated and stuff like that, and and like the Virgils and even Melanie Asani, who's still in the
yeah,
game, but like I'm saying, these are people that been in the game during the times of like amazingness, like when the game was amazing. They set the tone with
right,
everything that they did or
right,
whatever, what I'm saying. But now they have elevated, like even Don C, he's elevated to, what I'm saying, like he got numerous Jordans and Air Force Ones in 2 stores, and he does more than just clothes. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like these people have elevated and they earned their flowers already, and they're just not sure about the new gatekeepers because the new gatekeepers are in a weird limbo because the youngins have so much more power than any of us ever had when we were that young.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So it makes it seem like, well, who's the OG here? The 30-year-old or the 19-year-old? Or who's the next gatekeeper here? Is it a 19-year-old? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because like if you look at it, Connor's younger than the both of us, but he has done more and has more of a certain conversation that he could say, certain things that he could say that people gonna roll with. You know
right,
what I'm saying? Like if you tell people to wear Skechers, they gonna wear Skechers.
yeah,
Yeah, he did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now, dad shoes and that whole style is a thing or
hmm,
whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the people, the kind of the power is not trickling down like how it used to be, kind of like mafia style, where it's like, okay, these people are next.
yeah,
Anybody could be next.
yeah,
Anybody could be the next OG. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that is kind of like the conflict that the already double OGs, the triple OGs per se, like the Virgils, James Jebbias, blah 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 blah. All these people, they don't have faith because if you leave the beautiful thing about the youngins is they raw and talented and amazing, but their morals is all jacked up because they haven't had to really put their morals intact or whatever. They're just acting off of energy. They're acting off of age.
yeah. There's something about, I think too, like even when you start considering the fact that we grew up in a time where you still had to go outside, right?
They don't have to.
Communication was a big deal. Like you just couldn't say anything to anyone and it'd be all good. Like you were accountable for the things that you did and you said.
Amen.
And right now, I mean, and I'm not, what I don't want to do is create this paradigm where it's like, oh, like this is whack now and this was the old good days. Like that's not what it's about.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, there's just a reality that people can do things behind a keyboard that they would never do, face to face, right?
Amen.
And so, like, when you start talking about morals and values, like, I know for me, like, integrity is a huge deal. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think that integrity and being a stand-up person is what's allowed, myself and my partners to continue to be in business the way that we have been.
Right.
Um, I know that has came from the places where I grew up. I know you are a guy who, from the south side of Atlanta. Honor Roll, we really pride ourselves in being a Atlanta-made brand from the concepts and the ideas all the way down to the production. Like we just within the last year moved our production back to the city.
Right.
So for you, like how important has it been for you being from Atlanta, being from the South Side, like how has that shaped like the person who you are right now? Like how much has the city influenced you?
Well, a lot. I was born in Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always rep for where I was born. But Atlanta molded me. That
Yeah.
that that being grounded came from coming from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Like the sauce that Atlanta just naturally overflows with. I've been taking showers and taking dips in that sauce since I was a teenager. So it's like a part of me for what it is. And you know, but I kind of me now, the man that I am now, I look at the whole world as my playing field and my inspiration. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than Atlanta for me now. You know what I'm saying? Like Atlanta helped me become this man that was like one of my infinity stones per se or
Okay.
whatever. But I'm playing a big game, because like overseas is another thing or whatever, where it's things to learn in Paris, it's things to learn in Japan, it's things to learn in Australia,
Yeah.
Portugal, you name it, all these different places that I've went and learned things that helped me back in America. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they all need each other. I couldn't just rely on Atlanta to be a successful man. I would have, especially a person of color or whatever. I had to use all the skills. LA taught me a lot. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? New York taught me a lot. Texas taught me a lot. Detroit, Chicago, Florida, Miami taught me a lot. You know what I'm saying? I can't deny these things. You know what I'm saying? Mississippi or whatever, as negative as it is, it's taught me a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's bigger than just Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? My playing field is the whole world or whatever. And the more that I get to travel and learn and meet and develop situations and do business, fashion,
Mhm.
everything there in these
Yo,
different places.
I'm surprised that up to this point, like you haven't developed your own brand as far as clothes are concerned. Is that
Hmm.
something that you're going to be getting into in the future?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely come. I used to not think about it and not want to do it because I mean,
Yeah.
I've started it before on kind of more of a merch level, and it failed. And
Okay. Why do
I
you think
blew
it
so much
failed?
money behind it, huh?
Why do you think it failed?
Because I like wearing dope things, and creating dope things is harder than just going and buy dope things that are already made. You know
Gotcha.
what I'm saying? Like, because I don't want to make. If you made a dope T-shirt, then I'd rather just buy your T-shirt. I don't want to
Yeah.
try and battle you to make a dope T-shirt or whatever. And you got to be focused on clothing to make good clothing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And coming into the game, I definitely had a good eye for clothes because obviously I was the buyer for Ginza for so long, and I helped bring in a lot of things into that store that really molded that store as a staple in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm picking from other people's already designed designs. You know what I'm saying? Compared to me having to come up with my own designs from scratch that live up to my taste level. You know what I'm saying? Once again, my taste level kind of gets in my way of creating because there's certain things that's just like it's not good enough for my standards
Yeah.
or whatever. So that's why I stayed away from it for all these years. But definitely will be coming with things um, from my own, like clothing, accessories, blah 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 blah, in time to come for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. It's just a work in progress because once again, my taste level is just at a very high place. That's why it takes me a long time to do a lot of things because it's like I want to do something that I'm not doing it for the charts or doing it for the suits or doing it for corporate. I'm
Yeah.
doing something that is like when a kid or adult or somebody doing research come across my name 40 years from now and they check it out, it'd be as inspirational as if you was to just find out about Miles Davis this year.
Yo, I on that note, I want to circle back around to black owned,
Hmm.
and you know, both the song, but then also like a lot of the content that you've been releasing around it. Like, why is that so important? Like, why right now? Like, why is that so important to be having that conversation?
Well, my next project is dedicated to us. You know, it's a for us by us type of project, and my next full length project. And you know, I went through in 2017. Got a chance to do this movie called Pitch Perfect 3. And
Mm-hmm.
while in the trailer, you spend a lot of downtime when you do a movie, so you got to make yourself occupied, keep yourself
Mm-hmm.
occupied, should I say? And while in the trailer, I was looking at I was while in the trailer waiting to you know time for us to do our thing. I was looking at a documentary of Kendrick Lamar and Rick Rubin,
That was a
and
fire one. That's a fire one.
super fire, super fire, super inspiration. I love the energy of both parties, Rick and Kendrick, and the way that he explained "To Pimp a Butterfly" to me, it just inspired me to remember "A Love Below" and the purpose, not just the success of "A Love Below," which is the highest selling rap album of all times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, More of the purpose of like doing artists gotta do things for us, not what people always want. You got to
Everything's not
do
for commerce.
exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that conversation sparker, that album that a person like myself, like I slept on the Pimp a Butterfly because coming off a Good Kid, Mad City,
That's
I
a completely
love that
different
so
vibe.
much. You know, I wasn't ready for that. You know what I'm saying? It was like, wow, this dude's at the top of his game and he went this way or
Yeah.
whatever. When I looked at it, I was like, is this a going down or what is it? You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
wasn't sure or whatever. But that's the same way people felt, even Big Boy, how he felt about Andre, when I got a chance to chop it up with him to a certain extent with Love Below. You know what I'm saying? Like people didn't understand why he wanted to go so left. But in reality, he just really wanted to do him.
Yeah.
When you spend so much time, like Maya said on the talk yesterday, when you spend so much time being for others, you lose sense of personal time, personal
Yeah.
space, personal creativity. You know, and I wanted that inspired me. That conversation with that conversation with Rick and Kendrick, it triggered the conversation I had with Andre, and then just kind of gave me a purpose of like keeping in mind to do projects for me or whatever, and then like in the midst of doing a project for me, doing something for my community, like truly for my community, and but figuring out the way to do it my way. And so Black Owned is in the midst of the records that I was making towards getting to this project before I even knew that I was going to make it the project. That was just one of those records that I made in Atlanta. Where most of my next most of my next project I made in LA, but that
Okay.
particular song I made in Atlanta at Willpower Studio.
Okay.
And you know that I don't know what it was, but it's just that once again, once you get those call-ins, taste it or whatever. If I didn't like those bars or if I didn't think that was, then it would never come out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I was just like, it would just be for me. I make a lot of music and I just keep it for me or whatever. Tons and tons and tons or whatever. I don't think it's good enough to release or it's not the right time or whatever. Because I wrote that song 2 years ago. You know what I'm
Really?
saying? Yeah, I wrote this song 2 years ago. The video, it took me all of last year to finish or whatever because I shot 3 different locations with 3 different directors.
Yeah.
And then I had to find somebody that would edit 3 different directors' footage the way that I wanted it to make it intersect. That's 3 different videos going at the same time to make
And
it one.
and just for context, you're funding all this on your own.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I'm saying? So, you
Got to
know,
pay to
that
play.
it's a lot. It's a lot, you know, but if you want something done your way, then you got
You
to
got to
pay
pay
for
it.
it. You know what I'm saying?
That's a
And
fact.
that's one of the key things the industry taught me. Hard lesson or whatever. You can't keep complaining about what we won't do if you won't do it yourself.
That's a fact.
You bullshitting yourself. You ain't trying to make it. Prove to us that we tripping. Show them
Yeah.
that they tripping or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you think or whatever. The label this, the label that, like you hear a lot of young people say now these days, or people just artists say, period. The label doing this, or the label won't let me do this, the label won't let me do that, or whatever. It's because you've put yourself in a child's position where you need your daddy to come cross the street with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's just nobody ever crossed the street with me. You know what I'm saying? I
Bro,
had to get hit by the buses and the cars to get across that street.
bro, ever since I was, you know, like 16, being outside, I learned extremely quick. Like, you don't ever want to owe anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't never want to have um, your full financial security in someone else's hand. Like,
Correct.
obviously,
Your life.
you got to figure out how to leverage opportunities. You got to figure out, like, there's gonna be moments where you're gonna have to work for someone. You know what I'm saying? Or you may have to
Right.
borrow, but that can't be the end. That can't be the end game.
Yeah.
That can't be the
Understand
thing
your
that we're
value,
playing
man. You
for.
know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't take the time to understand how much what they're saying is worth.
Yeah.
All this that you talking, what is that worth? What can you transfer that and make it count for, you know?
And if you ain't willing to put your money up, nigga, what kind of conversation we having?
Exactly. We're not the same. Whatever. Like it's cute, it's cool, you know what I'm saying, to each his own. But if you won't bet up, you know what I'm saying, it's like put up or shut up.
Fact though. Fact. One person asked, what was your earliest fashion memory? If anyone else has any questions, go ahead and drop them
I
in the
can't hear
comment
you.
section.
Oh, okay,
Can
okay.
you hear?
So earliest
Oh, can
fashion
you hear me now?
memory?
Yeah.
No, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said earliest fashion memory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I think what I could remember is what can I remember? I had this orange streetwear, get the streetwear days. I had this orange, bright, vibrant orange Mecca shirt in middle school. The brand Mecca, Mecca. It said Mecca across it in blue. It was orange and blue, like Syracuse colors. And we wore a
Mm-hmm.
uniform at the middle school. I went to Brown Middle School on the west side of Atlanta, by West End train station. And
Yep. Yep.
that I remember like that shirt when I first got it and wore it. I think I got it at somewhere cheap, you know, like a Marshalls or somewhere that would have name brand stuff, but like
Yeah.
for cheaper and stuff like that. It was one of those type of places. But I remember wearing that
Burlington Coat
shirt.
Factory.
Exactly, like a Burlington. It definitely was a Burlington actually. You know, I remember wearing that T-shirt. You know, when people looked at me different. I would ever like, oh, like that's fly. Cause we had to wear uniform. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So it's like our uniform is a blue cotton shirt, button down shirt, khaki pants or shorts. And I pull up in jeans and this bright orange Mecca shirt. And it's kind of like, hey, this is what I'm rocking. You know what I'm
That's where
saying? I
you
didn't
at.
care. And that kind of like that wasn't what started the wave of me not caring or whatever, but and that's one of the earliest memories, like middle school, of like me doing my own thing in the midst of like a whole school full of people that were in the uniform because the school and their parents are telling them to.
Dope. Dope. I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna get one more question. Um, Shout out to Taneem for asking this. What advice can you give to artists who have a hard time putting a price on their work because their art comes from strictly passion and it's hard for them to put a price on their work? Yeah. So how do you I know you aren't you like in the early stages of collecting art?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when it comes, I mean, I don't know what art form this person does. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So whether it's painting, recording, actual music, um, pictures, photography.
Yeah.
Um, you sometimes you got to get burned to learn or
Yeah.
whatever. So you gotta start. I don't know if you never had a real job, then you can't equate it to much. But put
Right.
like this: equate it to a 9 to 5 job. You work 8 hours to make 8 hours at $40. I mean $40 an hour. 8 hours, 40 hours a week. You get paid, let's say, $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Um, you think about that person who does that day in and day out, day in and day out. Now, think about what it took for you and how long it took for you to make your product
Mm-hmm.
and then sell it at that rate. If they like it, if people buy it at that rate, pay attention to your customer who
Yeah.
bought it at that rate, and then also pay attention to your customer who would not buy it at that rate.
Right.
And then compare the two of why is this person willing to buy it? Why is this person not? And then I think that will kind of give you, to a certain extent, the idea of where you're at and what you got.
That's a fact. I think, being, to your point, like being clear on who your audience is matters. Like
Exactly.
making a t-shirt and me having a clientele that is making six figures is different than if my clientele is making five figures, right?
Exactly.
Or
Especially if you're
mid-five
selling
figures.
artwork. You know what I'm saying? If you're selling
Exactly.
artwork, it's like the people that buy art, they ain't coming out to buy $200 paintings.
Nah.
That's just not that, you know what I'm saying? Like that you sell those, that's what people sell on the street in New York. You know what I'm saying? There's people that sell $300 paintings, $400 paintings, $500 paintings on the streets of New York, on the street, right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In the canal, Manhattan, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you got to understand that, the work that you put in to nobody's taking that away from you, but the price that you put, you know what I'm saying? You got to also respect the consumer. You got to respect.
They may not want to pay for it.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I'm saying?
It's not going to be for everyone.
Right, because there's always somebody that's doing it
Right.
also. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, if somebody knows that they can go buy something similar to yours for way cheaper or whatever, then the only people that's supporting you is people that's super close to you or somebody who don't know better. You know what I'm saying?
The first bars for All Gold, everything's coming to mind as you talking about that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like if this ain't gonna be for everyone, you know what I mean? And you got to be confident to say like, you know what? This is my price. This is my value. This is my work. And if you rock with it, rock with it. If you don't, then don't.
Hey, you're a real nigga. Fuck with me. If you're not, then don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? And keep it moving. But you need to understand your worth and your value. And the only way to do that is to put yourself out there and shoot your shot. You know what I'm saying? Shoot your shot. Look, it's the internet. If the internet is working so well for everybody else, then you need to figure it out to make it work for you, to gauge and see, well, what is this artist working? Everybody's not an asshole. You look at artists that you like. If you see somebody that does something like you or whatever, DM them, be like, hey, man, what do you think I should charge for my paintings? Or should I even be charging here? You know what I'm saying? Somebody might tell you the truth or whatever. You never know. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not. But, everybody's different. Like Maya Bailey, who I told you, he doesn't take anybody's opinion or whatever. He believes in his work or whatever. But he did take certain people's opinion, but they were bigger than him, but they gave him a chance or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of times what throws it off is if you never get a chance to give somebody the chance to give you an opinion that you respect, then it puts you in a weird place. And then that ties back to you as a person. You got to kind of humble yourself to get into the door so that you can get opinions from people that could be telling you something that you need to hear.
Fact.
If you feel you're too good to even come inside the door, then why the fuck are you even trying to come in here for? You know what I'm saying?
There has to be a certain posture of humility that allows you to take something.
Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's like, or else do your own school, do your own art gallery. You know what I'm saying? Do your own thing. But if you can't even afford to do your own art gallery, then you need to be humble enough to get into art gallery.
There we go. Yo, bro, this was great, man. I appreciate this. I'm sure everyone else did. Yo, we'll have if you joined in late or if you want to catch this again, we'll actually have we record this whole live, and so it'll be up on our website at honorrollshop.com in a couple days. Nick, boy, I appreciate you, man. Love you, man.